Hello? 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 What, kitty? Why do you squeak? Why do you squeak? Squeak, squeak, squeak. Shh. Shh. Hello? Hello? Hello, hello, hello? You're a stinky cat. Just a stinky, stinky, stinky kitty. Stinky, stinky. Stinky, stinky, stinky. Stinky, stinky. Stinky, 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 stinky. Hello? 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 SCP-019. Object Class Skeeter. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-019 is to be kept on a weight grate in a 3 by 3 by 4 meter reinforced concrete room installed with an incinerator. Room is to be kept at 0 degrees Celsius when incinerator is not activated. An observation chamber separated by plate glass. A plate glass window is to be used for constant observation of SCP-019. If/when specimens of SCP-019-2 are observed, the incinerator is to be activated. In the event of an outbreak of SCP-019-2, ordinary firearms are successful in terminating individual specimens, although in the case of a swarm-level outbreak, flamethrowers may be more effective. 019 should be kept in a vertical position at all times. What, kitty? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why are you so stinky? Stop being so stinky. Dumpy cat. 019 appears to be in a very large ceramic vase, 1.8 meters in diameter at the mouth and 2.4 meters high. Style and decoration indicate that it was created in classical Greece, although conclusive dating is impossible, as the surface is entirely unbreakable by any known means. If a successful method is discovered, 019 is to be destroyed with prejudice. Periodically, entities such emerge from 019. Let's pick up the gain a little bit. Collectively, these are known as SCP-019-2. Entities may vary in many aspects, but tend to be small, vaguely humanoid, though they have animaloid features, and extremely hostile. They often choose to attack with teeth or claws, and although fairly delicate, also surprisingly flammable, they are reasonably strong and pose a considerable threat in large numbers. When kept at 0 degrees Celsius and totally at rest, entities will emerge from 019 at a rate of approximately 1 entity per hour. The following traits are known to affect 019-2's manifestation rate. Movement of 019. Threat to 019. Extreme temperature highs and lows. Sudden shift in surrounding environment. Introduction of objects or organisms to the inside of 019, known to cause a flood reaction. Traits that may or may not influence 019-2's manifestation rate. Presence of human life near 019. Current weather patterns and specific individuals near 019. Some individuals seem to affect 019-2's emergence rate more drastically than others. In addition, tipping or tilting 019 will create a reaction as though it was previously filled with -2 specimens, although viewers looking into -019 from above will merely observe a dark hole Due to the production rates of Dash 2 when the object is disturbed, measurement of the internal cavity is difficult, but it is suspected to be inconsistent with outside measurements. Addendum SCP-019-2-A. Dash 2 notes as maintained by Dr. Light and Dr. Vox. Redacted. SCP-019-2 specimen was moved from containment chamber and kept in a reinforced pen. Provided with water and live chickens as food, specimen made quiet, continuous, garbled vocalizations, determined to be vocally similar to ancient Hellenic languages. Although the reason for this is unknown, specimens are still thought to be no more intelligent than animals. Specimen lived less than 48 hours, and a dissection revealed anatomy consistent on a cellular level with normal biology, but with an extremely unstable musculoskeletal structure. Other notable anomalies include an unstable respiratory system, nearly non-existent digestive tract, and virtually no other internal organs. All other captured specimens have followed similar patterns of behavior and demise. Note, it appears that Dash 2 specimens were not intended to live for meaningful amounts of time outside of Dash 019, Dr. Vox. Redacted. Containment unit was slightly damaged following prolonged exposure to Dash 2 specimen, missed by the monitoring team because of partial transparency. This had not been noticed in Dash 2 before. Monitoring teams will continue to report further anomalies. Monitoring teams report some specimens of 019-2 now appear significantly more resistant to incineration than others. It is hypothesized that this is a defense mechanism on the part of 019. Most specimens of Dash 2 are now all but entirely resistant to the effects of the incinerator. Replacement of an incinerator with an acid bath is being considered. Evolution of Dash 2 is being studied and may be evidence of sentience in 019. On to SCP-020. Object Item number SCP-020. Object class Keter. Special containment procedures. Samples of SCP-020 are stored in several sealed cultivation chambers inside of a sealed containment room at Biological Research Area 12, which is only accessible via airlock. Nutrients are administered via automated robotic systems, as the cultivation chamber must remain sealed at all times. Hermetically sealed video surveillance cameras are installed within the containment room and must be checked daily for integrity. Any personnel entering the containment room must wear Biosafety Level 5 equipment, including rebreathers, and undergo full antifungal disinfection on exiting. Description: SCP-020 is a fast-spreading fungal organism that is capable of affecting the senses and behavior of living creatures, including humans. Samples of 020 exhibit an unknown effect that renders them effectively invisible to direct observation, even when under a microscope. 020 is only visible to humans when viewed through photographic or video surveillance. Once 020 forms a colony, usually within a human residence, it will produce spores that affect the behavior of humans around it. Affected subjects will increase the heat and humidity within their homes to create an environment more suitable to the growth of 020. Affected subjects also become more sociable in many cases and often invite acquaintances to their homes to further spread the organism. As the spore and mold colonies are invisible to affected subjects, the mold may sometimes grow directly on living subjects. As the spores and colonies within a home will approach critical concentration, the health of affected human subjects will rapidly deteriorate, resulting in death. Further spread of the mold may occur as the bodies of any deceased subjects are encountered by emergency responders and healthcare agents, as well as transportation of the bodies to local morgues. 020 was first encountered in Redacted, where an undercover SCP agent noted dramatic personality changes in the personnel working at the local hospital. Upon investigation by a containment team, it was discovered that almost redacted civilians had been infected, as well as the majority of the town. The civilian population was terminated, and the town was incinerated under cover of local flash forest fire. To date, over 12 outbreaks of SCP-020 have been reported. Investigations are currently underway to determine the source of these outbreaks and possible preventative measures. 020-1. Excerpts from the audio-video mission recordings of Mobile Task Force 8-10, See No Evil, during the initial containment of SCP-020 on Redacted. T2 lead. Team 2 moving to the Red House. T2 copy. UAV-1 is picking up one heat signature. T2 lead. Team 2 in place, ready to bring expletive. T2 door opening. At this point, a civilian woman appeared in the doorway, holding a kitchen knife. Video surveillance showed that nearly 2/3 of her face was covered by mold growths. Civilian woman. Well, hello there, gentlemen. Care to take a breather inside? T2 lead. On the ground. Drop the weapon. Don't be silly. Come on in. And stay a while. T2 lead. Stop where you are. Drop the weapon. We just want to have some guests. Please, come in. Drop the weapon. It is assumed at this point the infected civilian noticed T24 carrying a primed incendiary weapon and lunged forward at the team members with the knife. Civilian woman, data expunged. T2 lead. Open fire. Open fire. Gunfire. Screaming. Item number SCP-020. Object class safe. Special containment procedures. SCP-021 is an obligate parasite of the human body. Containment, therefore, is no more difficult than containing an adult human. Most cells will suffice. Item is currently housed in detention cell 217A on subject D139. Only Class D personnel are eligible for hosting 021. As long as given subject survives the host for SCP-021, he is exempt from normal monthly terminations of Class D personnel. A reminder that monthly terminations are no longer a thing. Description: SCP-021 takes the form of a large and elaborate tattoo of a serpentine dragon in the Oriental style, covering approximately 0.8 square meters of skin. The tattoo is fully animate within the confines of the host skin and behaves largely as a normal animal would, albeit in 2 dimensions. The tattoo's movement causes constant pain to its host, comparable and similar in character to simultaneous tattooing and tattoo removal on a large scale. The organism tends to spend most of its time on and near the torso. 020 displays no intelligence beyond basic pattern of feeding and locomotion, although actually measuring the intelligence of a 2-dimensional life form has proven impossible thus far. 020 appears to feed exclusively on pigments in the host's skin, This can include melanin, in which case the subject appears to be suffering from vitiligo. However, the organism shows a marked preference for other tattoos and will seek out and devour these before resorting to natural pigments. It should be noticed that the feeding process itself, behind the sensation of movement, is painless. Normal tattooing simply vanishes as it is eaten. The organism maintains a constant size and no excretions have been observed. The only organisms it is capable of clearing. The organism is capable of clearing over 0.6 square meters of skin per hour. One may feed 021 by quickly tattooing fruits or small animals on the host. 020 can be transferred between hosts by various forms of physical contact, with differing rates of success. In the case of a successful transfer, the organism simply swims from one person to the other. Sexual intercourse appears to be the most reliable method of transfer, with a 93% rate of transmission. However, due to the severe pain involved, this is less than ideal. Contact between two open wounds is generally preferable. Transfer is more complicated in deceased subjects, though not unreasonably so. The organism suffers no ill effects from the death of its host, and continues to consume pigments. Transmission between species is unknown. Previous death subjects suggest it to be either impossible or exceedingly rare. SCP-021 does confer some benefits to its host. The tattoo has proven to accelerate the release and reuptake of epinephrine and decrease lactic acid buildup, proving boosts to strength, confidence, and pain tolerance in stressful situations, and reducing the usual after effects of weakness and fatigue. In addition, the tattoo seems to have some beneficial effect on the host's immune system. Aggression profiles in hosts are generally higher than average, though whether this is the effect of the tattoo or simply a reaction to the constant pain remains to be seen. Symbiotic relationship is usually limited by how long the host can tolerate such pain in everyday life. This has accumulated in the suicide of a number of subjects. In rare cases, hosts have fallen victim to fatal skin infections. 021's origins and nature remain a mystery. Tracing its transmission from host to host is hardly feasible within the confines of secrecy, and the organism could well be hundreds of years old, if not more. Nevertheless, 020's captivity is one of the longest in Foundation's history, at nearly data-expunged years, and has been very educational thus far. Current research focuses mainly on observing the characteristics of life in 2 dimensions. Call down dogs. SCP-020, Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. A vault door has been installed following the Incident 22-827 to steal SCP-022 and is to remain locked at all times, with the sole exception being the appearance of an instance of 022-1. The original door to 022 was destroyed during Incident 22-827, with attempts at replacement being met with failure. Security cameras have been installed to monitor for instances of 022-1. In the that an instance of 0.2-1 appears, automated systems should incinerate it the moment it leaves 022. At this point, the vault door may be unlocked to admit cleanup crews. Should the automated systems fail to destroy the instance of 022-1, response teams are cleared to enter and neutralize it. Under no circumstances may any living human enter 022 except at the order of Class 4 personnel or for testing purposes. Class 4 personnel may also order instances of 22-1 to be captured and held. However, they may not be removed from 022 containment facilities. Description: 022 is a morgue in the basement of Redacted Hospital in Great Britain. Until 1980 redacted, there were no reported anomalous occurrences within the morgue. Reports of strange activity were first received in November 1980 redacted. The area was soon quarantined by the Foundation, with an official story being released that the entire building had been condemned. The reason for the sudden manifestation of its strange properties remains to be under investigation. Periodically, a random drawer within the morgue will open to reveal a cadaver under a covered sheet. After approximately 6 minutes open, the cadaver will animate and attempt to leave the morgue. At this point, the cadaver is given the designation 021-1. In some cases, the cadaver will be too damaged or decomposed to successfully exit 022, or even rise from the table it lies on. In this case, 022-1 will typically struggle and twitch on the table until expiration occurs. Should an instance of 022-1 expire while remaining on the table slides back into the drawer, which then shuts. Reports indicate that the scent of burnt tissue is evident immediately following such an event. The energy source that sustains instances of 022-1 is currently unknown. Instances do not breathe, eat, or sleep, and their bodies do not produce no heat. Analysis of -1 following the expiration has discovered no abnormal organs or chemicals present. They appear to be fully human cadavers. Instances also possess physical strength that exceeds that of normal humans. Though direct testing has proven problematic, researchers estimate the strength increase to be approximately 500 newtons, 112 pounds of lifting force greater than one would expect of a human body sharing a similar condition. Analysis is underway to determine if this effect is connected to the unknown power source, or if it is an entirely separate phenomenon. When body parts are severed from SCP-2-1, the portion of the greatest mass retains its effects. All other pieces become inert. Destruction of the head or brain does not neutralize 022-1. Instead, the lower torso and limbs remain animate. Complete tissue destruction appears to be the only method of successfully terminating instances of 22-1. Left alone, instances of 22-1 will simply expire. All motion ceases, and they appear to become normal cadavers again. The amount of time this takes depends on how damaged the body is and the rate of decomposition, which can take anywhere between 2 days and 3 weeks. Investigation has revealed that the bodies acting as 022-1 match the description of cadavers reported to have been stolen from morgues across the country. The mechanism for this transfer is currently being researched. Adding any new matter to 022 has thus far proved impossible. Any object that enters 022 disappears shortly after passing through the door, leaving no trace. This includes inanimate objects and biological specimens. See Addendum 022-1 and 022-2. So long as an instance of 022-1 possesses a functioning mouth, tongue, and trachea, is able to communicate fully with researchers. See interview log 022-751 for details. Addendum 2201. A request has been submitted to create a new entrance to 022 by removing a portion of the south wall. Request pending approval. Addendum 02. A pile of matter was discovered on the floor of the room directly above SCP-022. It appeared to contain all matter that had been sent into 022 with the exception of humans. All material appeared broken and worn down. Metallic components were covered in large amounts of rust, with all biological parts being in various stages of decomposition. Testing revealed that the time between inserting an object into 022 and appearing above to be precisely 183 seconds. Humans who enter, however, do not appear in said pile. Instead, humans appear to become integrated into the morgue and may later animate as instances of 022-1. Oh, I couldn't see the chat, and I was being real stupid and thinking the chat was gonna appear from bottom up. I don't know why I forgot it's top down. Sorry. Am I hearable? And yeah, Windows updates certainly suck. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm talking kind of quiet because my uncle's still doing his stuff and I don't want to turn the gain up too loud. You know? Yeah. Item number SCP-023. Object class Euclid. Special containment procedures. 023 is contained in a standard 5x5 meter containment unit. Redacted. SCP-023 is contained in a walled-off intersection of two corridors at site redacted, with at least 3 meters of space in each direction, and false doors at 3 of the 4 ends, in addition to the real door. Security cameras will be placed and maintained above all 4 doors. At all times, 023's eye sockets are to be filled with spherical inserts of hard rubber. Ice inserts are to be replaced as they degrade. Degradation can be monitored by measuring the brightness of the burning effect, as observed by security footage. Brightness greater than 12 candela requires the inserts to be replaced within 12 hours. Eye inserts are only to be replaced individually, and only after the sun has completely set. Personnel are not to look directly into the eye sockets of 023 at any time. Following Incident 23-27, all reflective surfaces, including displays, monitors, eyewear of any sort, are not permitted within 30 meters of 023's cell. This includes monitors linked to security cameras within its enclosure. Security personnel posted at checkpoints outside both corridors will enforce and adhere to this measure. Experimenting involving 023 has been suspended indefinitely. 023 is a large, sexless, shaggy canine, 15 meters at the shoulder with black fur. It has bright orange-red eyes and prominent teeth. See Incident Report 023-26. At any time an individual makes eye contact with 023, either that person or a member of the immediate family will die exactly 1 year after eye contact is broken. Research into the method of selection is incomplete due to a moratorium on experiments, but the available data suggests that having a large immediate family lessens the chances of individual making eye contact themselves dying, and neither a pattern nor a preference in victim types have been found. This may indicate that 023's victim is designated entirely at random, but it is unknown whether this selection occurs at the beginning or the end of the 1-year time period. Attempts to terminate an individual who has made eye contact with 023 and their entire immediate family before 1 year period has ended in data expunged. Yeah, it's a reference to a Irish folklore, Scottish folklore about a large black mutt that appears near the end of someone's death. I can't remember the exact name of it, but this is one of the SCPs that's directly a reference to a real-world folklore. What is this? I'm just checking the eyes. The passions of the dead can be vast and mighty, but we are not all-powerful. There are things I can never see. There are things I can never touch. There are things I can never overpower. Because of that, there are many things I can never protect my children who birthed me from. Because of that, oft times they die in bitterness and pain. Because of that, their deaths can also birth hates, large and small. Hates are things I can see and touch. I must see and touch them because my children who birthed me cannot. I must protect my children who birthed me where I can, just as my strange brethren are driven to curse them. I do not have the power to unmake hates. The best I can do is bind them to a seal made from things my children who birthed me can see and touch. The truth of our nature is all we have and are, and denial of that truth is denial of our power. But more importantly, my child who birthed me can guard themselves against what they can see and touch. The form of a ladybird beetle or butterfly is a fine seal for small hates, and a seal of that size that is easy for me to reduce the power of their curses to almost nothing. The larger seals needed to hold larger hates are more difficult. A hate sealed as a cat can still cause sickness and misfortune. Then there are vast hates, birthed from wars and plagues that killed together many of my children who birthed me. There are a few loves, vast enough to deny the truth of their nature, but I have tried once. It was a hate birthed out of the smoldering rage in the hearts of so many who died knowing their bodies would be burned together in a pit of pestilence and anonymity. I rarely call upon the power of the light that brings life to create a seal, but there was little choice against a hate natured so strongly of death. The weakest part of any seal is always the eyes, because they are the windows to the soul. My children who birthed me only believe in that as a concept, but concepts are far more real to my brethren, whether they are strange or not, and I than what my children who birthed me would think of as concrete. To light up the windows is to make an open path between a soul and the most vile curse a sealed hate can still inflict. I used every method I knew to reinforce the seal's eyes, but even then I could not stop it from setting a cause of death in anyone that meets gazes with it. My blessing could only delay the curse's full effects for a single cycle around the light that brings life. My misguided children, why did you take its eyes? Yeah, the black shuck. And if I'm interpreting this right, this is Mother Nature creating the black shuck to keep that curse from rampaging endlessly. And at some point, whether it was by the SCP Foundation or another group, it lost its eyes, which has cracked its seal. But that's just my interpretation of this. I may be wrong. Yeah. It's one of those SCPs that aren't scary or anything. It's just kinda sad. Autopsies of individuals killed by 023's effects show that, while outwardly appearing unharmed, their remains have been filled in with highly compacted ash, including but not limited to all organ systems and circulatory system, muscle tissue, bones, and brain activity. Brain tissue universally shows signs of exposure to temperatures above redacted Celsius, if not contained in a setting that at least superficially resembles a crossroads. SCP-023 will phase through walls to get to the nearest suitable location, incinerating all materials that it passes through. SCP was first brought to the Foundation's attention when it attacked a church in Redacted while it was in session, killing redacted civilians directly and redacted as a result of eye contact. Following retrieval of SCP-023, Class B amnestics were administered to all witness and surviving victims. The incident was covered up as a case of arson. Yes, it's not a dog that's doing evil out of will, but simply because it was birthed by human malice and foolishness. And, this was updated 2020, and I actually know where this one was updated because when I originally read this one, they terminated all the witnesses and surviving victims instead of using amnestics on them, so it appears they have been updating older files to reflect more current Foundation protocols that are, common across all realities, because as we go on, we're going to have the fun of dealing with the fact that all universes are canon in SCP, and absolutely none of them are canon. Timelines get funky with SCP. It's best just kind of not worry about it too much. Addendum 023-001. 023 broke containment unredacted by passing through its cell wall. Incident 023-1. SCP-023 was later discovered at the intersection of two corridors elsewhere on site. Redacted. Agent Redacted noted SCP-023's similarity to a Redacted. That's probably where they're referencing its original form. Special containment procedures for 023 updated. Assistant Researcher Redacted issued a reprimand for negligence. Addendum 002. SCP-23 has been responsible for the deaths of redacted personnel and redacted civilians since it was first brought into containment on 10/12 redacted 94. That's quite the year numbers to be redacting. Request for reclassification to Keter pending. Addendum 004. Due to anomalies focusing on specific geographic spaces, their destructive capabilities and canine appearance, it is possible that SCP-1111-1 may be a variety of the same phenomenon observed in 023, or vice versa. Investigation into the origin of both anomalies is ongoing. Due to the inability to capture 1111-1 for study, investigations are currently focused on 023. I don't think, it hasn't been updated to Keter because it doesn't generally actively hunt anyone out unless they're in the way of it getting to a crossroads. So it counts as Euclid. In order for it to be dangerous, you have to interact with it first. Keter is something that actively seeks out to harm or to spread and causes harms through endless spreading. SCP-024 Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. Due to its nature, 024 cannot be moved to a secure location, so security measures must be placed on site. To conceal its location, 5 identical looking replicas have been erected around 024. A tight security perimeter must be maintained around 024's compound at all times, with separate security teams guarding 024 and its replicas. None of the security teams, except for team leaders, will be informed about the location of 024. 024 must be secured with magnetically sealed blast doors and reinforced armored walls to prevent unauthorized entry. Yeah, though Keter may not cause the end of the world, it may be satisfied with simply murdering a few people at a time. And, there's one that only kills families in the northern hemisphere around Christmas time and steals children. It doesn't affect anywhere else. So Keter can be a bit more specific than end of the world. And then Euclid is, that, and safe is safe. The only way a safe SCP can cause harm is if someone's actively using it as a weapon. Under no circumstances can any security or research personnel enter 024. Only T-Class personnel are allowed entry, and strictly for research purposes only. All researchers are to observe the experiment with 024 from the remote observation lab. Any personnel attempting to leave the remote observation lab or enter 024 without prior approval from a level 4 researcher must be immediately apprehended, with termination authorized. Should containment be breached or 024's true nature compromised, the entire compound must be destroyed via specialized demolition charges planted throughout the compound. Description: 024 is an abandoned soundstage, once owned by Redacted. However, SCP-024 itself has been abandoned since 19 Redacted, and it is unknown whether its special properties manifested before or after its abandonment. 024 is located at the heart of Redacted, and was initially discovered by a group of teenage youths who broke into the abandoned compound. The testimony of the lone winner when she turned herself into the police was enough to have Foundation assets mobilized to contain 024. Upon entering 024, visitors are immediately greeted by an anonymous announcer who communicates via intercom and is able to hear and comprehend the voices of people within 024. The announcer will inform the contestants that they are about to take part in a game show in which the winners will win fabulous prizes, but will also warn players that the game will be extremely hazardous and the loser will never leave 024. It is at this point the announcer presents the choice of whether to stay or leave 024. Contestants who accept will continue to participate in the game, while those who decline are immediately expelled from 024. Contestants that win the game or decline to participate may never enter 024 again, as entry is denied by impenetrable, invisible barrier. It is then that the contestants are led to the actual game. The style, composition, and appearance of the game always changes in every individual playthrough. I'm doing well, Vince. We're just reading some SCP things. I think I'm going to be focusing on this for at least a few weeks while I continue to work on throat exercises. It's good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. Where was I? But the game is centered around long, elaborate obstacle course that the contestants must navigate through. The rules also vary. Some playthroughs may only allow a single winner, while others encourage the creation of teams to win the game. More often than not, the obstacles seen in these games range from incredibly benign to extremely hazardous and life-threatening. As the contestants attempt to negotiate the course, the announcer will continuously update their status and actively participate in the game, often giving advice, conversing with the contestants, and adding new rules. As the game progresses, the obstacles become significantly more dangerous and difficult to overcome, and it is not surprising to have the entire pool of contestants succumb to the rigors of the obstacle course. If such an event happens, the announcer will express sadness at the lack of a winner, and 024 will shut down, resetting only when a new batch of contestants enter. Yeah, I've seen the dating sim. I think some of the art's pretty good, but yeah, I ought to be careful. Well, I'm about to end stream here soon once I'm done with this one, but I can start doing it tomorrow, I suppose. I was just going on numerical order. Also, I'll check messages after each paragraph, just so you know. Any attempts to break the rules, such as assaulting other contestants and deliberately bypassing obstacles, are met by extreme violence. The announcer will call out the offending contestant, who will be quickly and forcefully ejected from the course by studio guardians. These studio guardians will immediately materialize within 024 when called upon by the announcer and disappear when not needed. The contestant will never be seen again. When a winner is declared, he or she will receive a random grand prize. Any contestants that have survived the course but failed to win are immediately declared losers by the announcer. The lights will switch off, and the winner will immediately appear outside of 024 with his or her prize, while the losers completely disappear. However, the most mysterious aspect of 024 is that after every game, a VHS tape or DVD will appear in the mailbox outside of 024's main entrance. This recording is a complete record of the entire game that was previously played, even though the winners have claimed they have never seen any cameras or recording devices inside of 024. Also, more strangely, a live studio audience can be seen in the background cheering on the contestants. Again, winners have not claimed to see a live studio audience while inside of 024. I think if I'm gonna take any SCP requests, you can probably I think there's a whisper feature on Twitch. Just send me those and I'll check them as I get on throughout the day and figure something out with it. Because I've also been uploading this to YouTube in numerical order slowly. Addendum 1. So far, the list of prizes awarded to winners has included, but is not limited to, cash prizes, electronics, various consumer goods, cars, collectibles, full-paid vacations to various countries, and data expunged. Close examination of these prizes have confirmed that they are completely genuine and possess no unusual abilities or characteristics whatever. There appear to be no consistent pattern for what the prizes will be. In an attempt to track where the losers are taken, GPS locator beacons were planted on subjects D124 and D135 when group D245 was sent into SCP-24. When the losers were taken away, all signals for the beacons were lost, whether this is because the beacons were destroyed or because the losers were taken to an area that cannot be located via GPS is currently unknown. The announcer living within 024 appears to be sentient and aware of the events that take place outside of the compound. During tests of group D523, which consisted only of Dr. Redacted, the announcer instead engaged in a conversation with Dr. Redacted. Analysis of the conversation have been shown that the majority of subjects are centered around pop culture and information distributed through television, implying that 024 is somehow able to access and interpret television signals, cutting all power and signal lines as well as removing any potential wireless receiving equipment on 024 does not affect 024 in any way. When it became clear that no other contestants would participate, the announcer kindly asked Dr. Redacted to leave 024 and suggested he return with more contestants. Addendum 4. The studio guardians that the announcer uses to enforce the rules vary in appearance every game, just like the course. If they appear, the guardians will always be dressed in a manner that matches the theme of the obstacle course, and the only common attributes all guardians share are the possessions of humanoid appearance, ability to suddenly appear and disappear, superhuman strength, and face-concealing masks or headgear. However, winners have claimed that the Guardians have no apparent shape or form inside of 024, instead appearing as huge, shadowy figures that engulf the offender. Okay. I'm gonna finish the stream there. I'll start up again tomorrow at the normal time. If there are requests, just whisper 'em. I hope y'all have a good day.